You're laughing your ass off at my team.
There's also...
Shut up! He's going to be the number one overview player for Mission in the fourth.
No chance.
Maybe besides Dylan Moore.
No chance.
Okay. No, Cornwall's got, Dylan Moore, that's it.
No chance. There's no chance.
I don't like his release, so stop talking about it.
I didn't say it once, but since you brought it up... Francis!
I just got
Francis!
I just got concussed.
Doesn't care.
Tom Mitchell doesn't tug on the ball. Thomas kicks the winning goal and he got 140. Vice captain right now.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, SuperCoach Pro. I have not had a lot of sleep. Let's get a fucking quick podcast done, mate. Let's talk about everything we need to know. We've also got Matty. We chatted to him earlier in the show. He's going to make a live for football. Not live. We had an interview with him, and we're going to check in with the master, mate. How you going, SuperCoach Pro? How's your team?
Yeah, team's going all right for what the players were out. And the trades we brought in were pretty good. So, yeah, having a good one. But I've noticed since jumping on here, my rank's gone down. So I'm not sure if that's a correlation of how shit the other teams are going. But, yeah, thanks to you boys, I've slid a little bit.
Yeah, mate. Well, look, I don't know. I think I've gone down as well since you've been on. So I think we'll just cop that. But let's maybe go into our trades this week. And we'll see maybe why we're going down. So Jamie has got out Cleary, Bison, Cornerstone, brought in the Bont. Big spender, Jamie. He's pretty much hit almost every rookie that you want to hit. He's got Bont, Zach Johnson. He went early on, and he got that dud peddler, the old pedophile peddler. He probably wouldn't be too happy with those trades. I only done 2 trades. Marriage out for Cordwell and Basilenko out for TDK. Now, I told you that one. You weren't happy with it.
I didn't think you'd go through with it. I thought you had more brain cells than that. But no, that could actually, it could pay off. But have you got money in the bank after that?
Yeah, I do. So that's kind of the purpose. I don't have a lot of cash generating rookies. I don't have the Lindsays. I don't have, Elijah Hewitts, Erasmus, any of these duds. So I needed to make money, and Bailey Smith was the 3rd highest priced player. And I only had Sherry more than that. I'm like, look, Baz still has his buy. Baz is a bit injury prone. I was thinking about trading him out even when he wasn't laid out. No, I'm going to keep him. But then when he was laid out, I'm like, this is a perfect chance. So grab TDK. Let's be honest, he can probably score the same as Bailey Smith throughout the whole year from here on in. And I can get an extra 110K or whatever it was for my upgrades this week. So that's what I kind of done. I hated the rookies last week, hated the peddler and all that kind of stuff. So I done that for a bit of cash. Didn't only use 2 trades. Matty got rid of Henderson, Ashcroft, and he got rid of Baz as well. He brought in Tom Nakoni, Angus Clark, and Caleb Daniel, mate. Now, let's get on to you, where you're the big boy. So, Trainer, Marshall, and Marriage all went out for Millsies, Dale, and Clark, mate. You wouldn't be too unhappy with those trades, would you?
Yeah, first good trades in a couple of weeks. So, Trainer had to go to the BE. Marshall was stuck in my flex. He already made his money and bailed out of that. He's got a hard matchup over the next, pretty much the back end of the fixture. And then Marek, the roll's dead, and he scored a 60 on the weekend. So I went a punt early on Mills because I knew Richmond would boot it to him, and as it was, he scored a 107. Dale, I liked the Marvel run, particularly for a guy that takes kickouts. That made more sense under the roof. And then Clark was the rookie that I chose out of him and Pedra. He was just cheaper and had a better role than what Pedra did, I reckon. So, and I banked 271K going into this week, and I can do 2 more final upgrades.
Yeah, perfect, mate. So we're going to get into all our trades and what we think now. Did any premiums let you down? We noticed you slid a bit in rank, even though you had 2 players coming in that were giving you tons. Is it because did you have a lot of primos out that week, or was it because of just some other underperforming primos?
Probably Bolton, Brayshaw out, Clark out, Sinclair out. Baz didn't help, so that actually made it 5. Hence why I had to get rid of Romo. And then Roberts out as well, so I was forced to hold him. So that was 6 out of, you can call it semi-primos at least. And then the factor in Lindsay and Shannon Neal scored me, 25 and a 19 or whatever it was. So there's a few of the rookies, but all in all, I still scored 1995 this week, regardless of all those carnage plays, and only dropped a little bit in ranking.
Now, Kickstart Hall of Fame, we have 1 Brownlow medal only. Wahab and Nick, fight it out for it, mate, because I will send you half a Brownlow each if there's not a tiebreaker. Nick, SDKA, mate, If you want something other than the Collingwood profile, just let us know. But everyone gets the Collingwood picture unless you tell me what pick you're in. Everyone in the top 3 can decide their picks. Wahab and Nick SDKA leading, with Dylan coming in third. 1 Brownlow medalist. I will break it in half and send it to both of you guys if you don't get on that. So cheers, guys. Thanks for supporting. Now, we did speak to Matty Gazebs, and we're going to play that interview for you right now, and he's going to tell us a little bit why he's doing so shit, his trades, and why he hasn't been coming on podcast. So let's get him on.
Here we have Matty Gazebs. Champ, what's going on? Why are you doing so shit at SuperCoach this week? Oh, not this week. I mean this year.
Oh, yeah, this week. Look, I got to whisper as much as I want to grab your fucking throat and strangle you, champ. I got to whisper. The babies are sleeping. They're just doing little shooky things.
Yeah, I don't care about your kid. Just tell me we have SuperCoach.
Yeah. All right, what do you want to know, champ? What do you want to know? How shit I'm doing?
Okay, no. Well, first of all, why haven't you jumped on any podcast? You can clearly come on a fucking voice call like this. Why can't you jump on the podcast?
Because you wrecked it all, champ. You're going to Queensland. Look at the background. You got singlets. We're freezing here in Melbourne. It's fucking 6 degrees. So you know what? You got paradise, but you've lost.
So why won't you? So you're literally just not coming on the podcast because you're a stubborn idiot, is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
Okay, just so everyone knows, that's everyone's watching. Matty's on the podcast because he's really stubborn and probably a little. Is that correct?
Tiny bit, champ. But you know what it is, champ? It's because, I might be stubborn, but you're selfish. You are one.
Because I want to move to better weather. I'm selfish. You really got some nerve. Talk about your team. Why you're doing so bad this year? Is it because you're bringing in CJs and Clarys, or is there any other reason that you could possibly think of for why you're doing so shit?
Pretty much bringing in. Yeah, I don't even know, champ. Probably the buy rounds really stuffed me up.
It just started. And you went up in rank this week.
Just this week, but the last couple of weeks have been falling.
Champ, there's been 2 buy rounds. 1 week you went up, and 1 you went down. It's not because of the buy weeks.
I don't know what to tell you, champ. All right, okay, what am I?
That's the truth.
I'm 9,000 something. My team looks great on paper, but they're just not performing. What do you want me to say?
Well, I want to know why, because we pretty much had the similar teams at the start of the year. Where did you go wrong, and why am I such a star?
You are so probably because you're a tight ass. And you've been getting in, we've been getting in like Marriages and Ned Longs that are doing well for you, Kidwells, and who are some cheap options that you've picked up that are just flying. Where I'm paying big bucks for Bonts and
CJ.
The CJs. The only good pickup I kind of got was that Josh Dacos at 4.5 or whatever he was. But besides that, champ, all those primos, that Dunkley was just a waste of money. So we got that 170, and then he hasn't really done much since. So it's kind of these primos not getting me the 110, 120s that I really want.
So, Matty,
keeping Horn Franks, keeping McRae.
I kept both of them as well, and I kept Roberts.
Champ, you are so great. What do you want me to say, champ? Is this
this is exactly what I want you to say.
You are so great, champ. You're getting all the tips off SuperCoach Pro, and you're just flying in the sun while we're rugged up in hoodies and blankets. Good for you, man. You look really well. I hope you choke on that water. I hope you slip and.
Champ, I wouldn't drink that water. It's a lake, you idiot.
Ooh, a lake. Ooh.
All right, Matty. Now, what are you thinking of? No, what stupid trade you're thinking of doing this week? Everyone wants to fucking know.
Deb, the obvious one is obviously Butters, but the real obvious one is Matt Kennedy from the fourth line.
It's funny because you're not even joking. This is a real. The obvious thing is Butters, but what smart people would do is go to Kennedy.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to. I don't know, man. We've been tinkering around for the last 12 hours, and I'm trying to find a way to get Butters, but we both got in TDK this week, and he's really hurting that flex position to even get anything. But yeah, that's.
So, champ, you brought in Caleb Daniel this week.
Oh, champ, thank you for that advice. Yeah, because
I gave you some advice. Yeah, champ, Caleb Daniel's go West Coast, so I think it'd be good. Why'd you trade him out, and why'd you bring him back in?
Champ,
and why'd you do the same thing with Oliver?
Champ. So clearly, Oliver is just holding the price stone because I knew he was going to turn into a Butters, regardless. The Caleb Daniel thing, you got a 56, and I needed someone for $400,000 or less to get. And you know, he went down about 30k. I picked him back up and he got 124. Fine. That's how smart people win ball games, champ.
You're winning all the ball games, aren't you, champ? All right. Look, we got your absolute pearls of wisdom. It's been so good to finally catch up with you on the podcast again. I mean, we talk about 3 hours a day on SuperCoach. I don't know why you can't just do a video like this and just come to, like, it's the same thing. You're just being a wanker because I went to somewhere sunny. Like, stop being a little bitch all your life. Fair?
No, I'm not a little bitch all my life, champ. I'll smash your fucking head in. But at the end of the day, champ, this is gay. This is not.
This is gay? Yeah, okay. It's pretty gay, yeah. All right.
You know, what else? What are you going to do with your trades this week, champ?
So, you're going to have to watch the rest of the podcast to find out, champ, because I'm only telling that to my co-host, which is not you, you gay boy.
Then why'd you call me?
Because I wanted to laugh at you.
To show you how beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's tropical. Is that your backyard? Like, is that?
Yeah, that's my backyard. That's the house.
You are a fucking piece of shit, champ.
Thank you. I get that a lot from you, champ. Thank you.
Look, I still got the Christmas tree up for the kids. You know, it's just so cold. But yeah, this is a lot of nappies and stinky cuckies everywhere. But then here you are, living your best life.
All right, champ. Well, I've given you you've talked about the kids already 3 times in the podcast. That's enough. So I'm going to cut it back to the boys back in the studio. Matty, thanks for joining us. Can we get like some special comments from you maybe next week like this?
Maybe not.
It depends how you go. It's because you had a really good week this week. Is this why that you've made an allowance?
You beat me, all right? I'm here, you beat me. The girls are sleeping. I was either going to eat some Doritos or have a nap. So here I am.
Sounds like your last thriving, champ. All right, buddy, we'll let you get back to it.
See you, boys.
See you, buddy.
See you, mate.
And there we go. Matty has had his bit to say, mate. What do you think of that?
That was pretty funny. I actually forgot my mic was on the whole time and I was pissing myself. So it's good to see you guys have a bit of a chat and SuperCoach. Funnily enough, you guys brought in a few of the same players. So it does make sense that you guys are talking SuperCoach still. Explains why you're both doing so awful too, because you bring in the same shitty players.
Mate, you know what? I'm not doing too bad, all right? Like, how many trades do you have left?
I'll just take it. I've got 9, so you've got 1 extra than me.
Fuck. Do you have any money in the bank?
271k. So I'm going to get Butters and George Hewitt, or I'm going to grab Bonds and Naz. I haven't decided which combination.
Oh, mate, you're just reviewing all the trades nice and early. This is the midday rub, and you're going straight in the early days. But, I love it. So let's be honest, okay? This team, right, we got Sherry, DeConing, Marshall, happy days. Petrarca, McRae, we're getting news that he's coming back. Not sure about Horn Francis at the moment. Warner, Rankin, Daniel. This is pretty much complete, this section. Go up here. I'm happy to keep this Dud Roberts, Sinclair, Ash, Whitfield, Zorko, Sheasel. That's done. And if you look here, Dawson, Rao, Nick Dacos, Sarong, Rosie, Cordwell, Long, and Ashcroft. You could leave that, but we're going to upgrade these boys this episode. I have a slight idea what I want to do, but I was waiting for your pearls to see what you think of this, mate. So straight off the bat, I'm not fucking around. Ned Long out. He's given me so many good numbers. He's been a great servant, but he's at 474. And look, Zach Butters is just within reach within 1 trade. So I have to do that. It's just he's like my best midfielder now. So then it comes down to, mate, the last 2 trades. So let's have a look at the players and who we think we like and who we don't. But let's go through the rookies and the cash cows, because to me there's only really 2 people that stand out, maybe 3. Tell me what you think of this. So Zach Johnson's coming off an 84. Looks like he might make some money. Avoided the sub-vest last week. 18 touches playing in the back line. 5 free kicks helps. You got your Zach Johnson. You got your Ted Cloesi. And you got that McCarthy bloke or whatever his name is from West Coast that hasn't played a game. Anyone else that you've been considering as a downgrade option?
Hugh Jackson's from Port Adelaide is on his bubble as well.
Yep, Hugh Jackson. Yeah, I had a look at him. I just don't like him. I mean, I don't like this bloke either because he's been vested so many times. But the time he wasn't vested, you know, he's got an 84, he's got a 71, and he's still got the shit numbers that he can get out. And DPP forward midfield, so that helps a little bit. And he's still at that price of 720, which he started at 721. So it's an option to consider him if you need someone in the forward line. Let's see this Jacko that you love so much that you want to suck him off. So Jackson has got a 23, 8 touches and 14 touches and a goal. And, mate, which one are you looking to bring in?
Oh, definitely Zach Johnson, now those guys. I know he's got the bye for the last round, but I think second to that would probably be the Port Adelaide guy, just because he would be playing throughout the last few byes because Port just had their bye the other week. So makes more sense. Obviously, you just hope he avoids the sub-vest, but Zach Johnson's got the best break-even negative-wise, and you'd think with all the injuries at Essendon, he'd probably get a gig and make you quick cash as opposed to the other guys. Calusi, however you say his name, I just think he'll be a sub again from what I'm hearing in the SC community. And there was one more that you mentioned I've forgotten.
This bloke that hasn't played a game yet, Tom McCarthy, defence mid. Everyone seems to be jumping on nice and early, 3.1 only. If he's named, I'm pretty sure he'll be in a lot of teams. I mean, there's no good defence downgrade options, and the DPP certainly helps.
Yeah, it was the number one mid-season draft pick, so you'd think he'd go pretty well, SuperCoach-wise. You could wait on the bubble, but we just need sort of warm bodies on the park anyway, so he's probably the guy that everyone will trade in. Just want to see if he is sub, though, because I would hate to trade him in first game when he's sub, but he might have that Marek role that was his a few weeks ago. So he didn't play this week for personal issues, apparently, so hopefully he does get a debut because you'd think he'd come straight in.
That's funny because he played in the second and he didn't play in the seniors because he had personal issues. It's really weird because I think he had 26 touches. He played all right. I think he might have even kicked a snagglepuss. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how West Coast goes. Now, Bo Allen's an interesting one. 3 sub-vests. Coach came out and said that we've done wrong by Bo only giving him a couple of minutes at the last quarter. He's not going to be the sub this next week. I'm not sure if he means he's going to get a full game in the second or if he's going to get a full game in the seniors, but he's categorically denied that he's going to make him the sub again. Bo Allen's already lost 18K. I'm sure his break-even is around 67. So he's at one to keep an eye out on if he starts to get some regular games. But I think that's it for maybe rookies. Is there anyone else that you would like? There's also Nick Madden, but it doesn't really fit our structures, being 3 ruckman. Is there any world where Nick Madden's a good trading?
Probably at R3, or if you had a flex position that you could open up and you had Sims in R3, you could put Madden there for the meantime and play him over the buys. But yeah, a bit of a risk there because Briggs comes back in a couple of weeks, but he's definitely one that can always score well because he's got the role over the buys. But yeah, hopefully he holds Briggs out so people can actually jump on that train next week when he's on the bubble potentially, and then we get a bit more idea of when Briggs is actually back. Because if it's another few weeks, it could be a short-term play.
Yeah, it could be. It would be really good for cash gen purposes. There is another player that I like. He's a bit more expensive. Not Jack Martin, not Robert Hansen Jr.
Dwyer, the West Coast guy, 175.
Yes. He's taking the kickouts all the way over from Marek. And he's just got a score to 90. And, 21 touches, 18 touches. The kickouts do help. And his break-even's negative 37. That is huge. So if he can rack up another couple of 60s, he could be a really strong cash-generating play. And the DPP does help as well. He has an increased price of 176, but could be an interesting play if you've got a bit of extra cash. What do you think, mate?
I think I missed the boat to pay up. Like, I can only afford my trades to grab a Johnson and a McCarthy to get a Bonson Naz. Whereas if I tried to do a player like his caliber, I'd be really going for like a Tom Stewart instead because I'm paying up for the rookie. So it really sort of hinders what you can actually grab by paying up for the expensive rookies. Like Erasmus is one that's going to get a bit of a shout. It also depends how far your team's almost finished or not. Like, he might be the Sheldrick that we miss, but it's better off probably going to the bottomed out rookies to upgrade your side the better primos rather than the cheaper primos if you can.
If you went early on Zach Johnson, sorry, there's someone screaming outside. So anyway, if you went early on Zach Johnson, who's the next best rookie? Because I know Jamie went early on Zach Johnson. Who's the next best one you'd get in your team?
Hugh Jackson, because he plays all the buyers.
Oh, that's true. How much ceiling does this bloke have, though? Is he just going to pump out some 40s, get sub-vest, and never see again like Lorenz and Marais and all that kind of stuff?
Potentially, but I think that's the risk of all these rookies now. Like, they've got shit job security because, it's the middle of the season. They're finally getting picked now due to injury or form. So I think whichever way you look at it, you don't really need these guys after buys anyway. If you're relying on them after your buys, you're pretty much screwed. A lot of people are probably going to come out between 3 and 6 trades. You're not going to probably hold a rookie if it's a 3 or 4 week trade out. You're just going to trade out that primo and not really use a rookie to cover your bench now going late into the season. And flex will help you anyway. That's spot on, mate. But now let's look at some upgrade targets. Now, you've already mentioned Bont as an upgrade target. He does have Saints, kind of restrictive. Don't know if they can hold someone like Bont. Break even 164. Gets a 130, goes down 15K. Pretty nice. If he gets 100, mate, he's going down 28K, which can make him pretty gettable. Bont's one with a huge break even. Another one at a very nice, well, not a nice price, at an expensive price. Luke Jackson, he does have the big sherry this week. He's sharing ruck duties with Sean Darcy. I don't know if we're paying up for him this week. I mean, geez, what's his break even? 81. So he still has a chance to make some decent coin. The games against Essendon, he might get an inflated score. But, mate, what are your thoughts about Luke Jackson? Obviously, he's got no more buys. Forward ruck, pretty handy. Or we think he's too much money? Probably slightly too much money. The matchups that he's got are actually not as friendly as it looks on paper, apart from Goldie, that's 58 years old this year. The other guys, he's got Meek, he's got Decam, he's got Cherry the week after. I think this was a couple-week play when he was like 560 or 580 at the very latest, but I think we've missed the boat for this one. Unless you're going down from a Gawn to a Jackson over the bye or something like that, but could do that. I don't love the Bont's price, but if you're finishing off your side, it's one you don't have to worry about, which is why I've thought about paying up, is because I'm finishing my side this week regardless. So he's a good shout with the Marvel run as well. I think the tag will go to Richards this week, though, with Windy. I think Windy would be too small to take Bont. Would you say that's a fair assessment or not?
Well, they didn't tag like Sarong and Brayshaw in that game, and they held both of them really low. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe Dogs are a bit too good to be restricted as much as they were. But, they've still got Libba. And I don't know. I don't see Bont being held too on a leash this Thursday night football. It's going to be fantastic to watch. But, yeah, look, I don't think Bont trading. I mean, for me, man, as Matty said on the interview, I'm a bit of a tired ass. I'm not bringing in anyone with 164 break even. I can wait a week and try and get him for, if he gets 130, happy days. You get a 130 and I'll get him for 15K cheaper and I can get someone else in. Now, Nick Martin, I think that's too much for Nick Martin. Can we agree on that?
Agreed. Yep, 100%.
Still has his buy. I'm not looking at any of these players. Andrew Brayshaw is still pretty expensive, 135 break even. I don't know how much cheaper he's going to get, mate, because he's been pumping out amazing scores. For non-Brayshaw owners, I think he has to be one of your final kind of gets. If it's not a bad draw coming up. Do you got Brayshaw?
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm at the rank I'm at, to be fair.
Yeah. So what do you think of other people trying to bring him in? Is this the price to get him in at?
Well, yeah, look, you're finishing your side, so you probably want the big dogs now, regardless of trying to be a tight ass. Like, you're probably aiming for your butters, though, like 40 round cheaper that can do the same output. But I think with the Optus run that the Freo have on the way back, it's definitely worth a shout. Same with Sarong, but they're going to tag, I reckon, more Brayshaw now than Sarong. What do you think?
I think it's a bit of a wild card. There's a lot of games where I thought Brayshaw would cop the tag because he's been so much more damaging, but Sarong's ended up copping it. He's got another game against St Kilda where that's not going to be good for them. I think North Melbourne are the only team where I haven't really seen them go with a tag. Like, even the teams that don't tag usually tag when there's a really damaging kind of midfielder, like, Dacos or, Butters or something like that. But, even Butters has been let off the hook and some taggers have gone to Rosie. So it's, look, I'll be paying up for them if I had that money. But, obviously I'm going Butters. But are we worried at all that Langdon is going to do a similar job on Butters that he did to Nick Dacos? And obviously Dacos got a 50-metre penalty, kicked the goal, got some late possessions, got some free kicks that probably weren't there. Are we worried about Zach Butters and Langdon tagging him?
Nah, Butters is a 10 times better player than Dacos, so probably not.
All right. Spoken like a true Richmond supporter.
Yeah, no, I'm just taking the mickey. I don't know the Langdon factor on that one. I don't want to be scared out of it. I think Butters will do fine. I just think Dacos is acceptable to these tags we've seen in the past, whereas I think Butters can work through it, even though he got tagged a couple of weeks ago and dropped the 50. I'm confident that Butters should be able to work around a Langdon tag, I'd expect anyway.
Yeah. Well, is there an alarm bells for Libba owners? When Treloar came back, I think he got about 30% CBAs. Libba was 70, went back down to around 40% of the CBA. So it looks like Treloar just took his chunk. Bond had the most CBAs he's had for the season. So Treloar coming back didn't affect the Bond. It affected Libba the most. Worried Libba owner, or would you be worried if you had Libba?
Yeah, I would be a tad worried about him, but we just don't know where Bevo's going to structure up these players as the season progresses. Like, it is a little bit of a concern. I certainly wouldn't be bringing in Libba in the next few weeks. I'll just wait to see what Treloar does and when he does a calf again or something stupid. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of Libba at this stage. I certainly wouldn't be bailing out of one game. I'd still want to wait and see because their Marvel run's pretty juicy as well.
Now, from here on in, we're going to talk about players that have already had their bye. We're not picking up anyone else. You happy with that?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yep.
Except, if you want to talk about Tom Stewart again, mate, go ahead. So here's my number one trade in, Butters. I'm just hoping he just pumps Melbourne like he used to and breaks the tag, or, he doesn't get the tag. Tom Green's nice. I already had the bye. So, yep, English Dale. Max Holmes, and again, I'm anti-potting this bloke and he's killing me. Obviously, he has the bye, so we're not touching him. Zach Merritt. We worried about Zach Merritt if we're a Zach Merritt owner. Still has the bye to come, and he's playing a backline role and sometimes a forward line role. Anywhere except the midfield role, really. Also got the Chinchota tag.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. Like, why would you play forward if you know you're going to have Chinchota sitting on you because Chinchota plays in that position to tag? So, I don't know. Merritt, for me, is a luxury trade if I can do it. I'd go down to 5 trades if I did that. For me, he's actually got the worst role. I'd actually rather almost hold Roberts than Merritt, just because Merritt's going to lose so much cash if he keeps continuing giving me 90s and all this crap. Look at his scores. He's dropped a 150 in the last month, and that's it. There's a 65, a 76, 93, and 81. That's not a primo anymore.
That hurts. That like, if you're carrying these scores, I mean, besides that number, a 76, a 65, a 93, and an 81 from one of your top line primos is going to hurt. Maybe, like, the thing is, it all it takes is Scott to wake up one morning and be like, you know what, I think I'd put Merritt back in the midfield, and that just changes everything. And it's, as you can see, the role is very kind of fragile. Like, he gets moved quarter by quarter, so we don't even know where he's going. Scares me off. I wouldn't be picking up Merritt at all because he's just so versatile and you can chuck him anywhere. But if you have him, got his bye coming up, I don't know, man. I'll leave that for the owners out there, mate, like yourself. So you're obviously going to hold him this week, see what he gets. And if he pumps out another 70, then he gets his bye. What are your thoughts?
At his bye, he's gone for me. If he doesn't turn up this week and I see him play in the back pocket or take kickouts again or play forward pocket and hope to be used as their key target along with Peter Wright, I'm probably going to lose it, punch him drywall, and then drive to Scott's address and tell him what the hell you're doing, mate.
Mate, break-even's 150, so if there is a time to get rid of... So if he does get an 85, he's losing 30K. So that would hurt. That would hurt the kitty. But our teams are nearing completion as well, so... Yeah, as we said last potty, Chera was a pretty good pickup, 109. Then he's got West Coast and North Melbourne to come. Also Hewitt, same price, obviously playing the same teams. Probably a less injury affected Georgie Hewitt than Chera. I mean, it's been amazing that he's played 12 games so far, Chera, but I'm thinking Hewitt would be the better pickup. And you're interested in bringing him in this week?
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, I'm actually debating between bringing George Hewitt and Butters as a combo or Naz and Bont as a combo. I haven't worked out which one because that would complete my side. I think George Hewitt in the wet too, like he has a lot of MCG games, so tackle numbers will be up come this sort of season. He's got West Coast and North Melbourne in the next two. So for these Carlton players, you're jumping on a spike game for the next 2 weeks. After these 2 weeks, I'm not as interested in George Hewitt. So if it's me, if I'm bringing him in, it's because he went nuts against him earlier in the year. And in the buys, you need those big scores. So he could be the play for 2 weeks. And in the top 1%, he's only like 2.3% owned or something like that as well. So he's either going to make or break me for that top 100 finish.
So, and he has killed these teams last time they played, so which was this year. So, damn, that is a massive score. That's a nice score, and you don't have that kind of unpredictability. Will Chera be in the back line? I mean, he's only been there maybe 1 or 2 games or quarters, but Georgie Hewitt seems like the safer pick at the same price. Jordan Clark, too much, or is it fair enough?
Yeah, definitely a fair price. He's only had like maybe one stinker, and the rest have been so consistent. He's also a VC shout if you look at his scores. Like, he's better than Luke Ryan. 58 was the only game that he went missing.
Yeah. I think every Freo player struggled really bad in that game. But yeah, Jordan Clark's a nice kind of defender to finish off your team. But if you want to save a bit more money, I mean, you're not picking up any of these boys. Tom DeConing against West Coast. You're thinking he's going to score big. I already got the seeing him. That's no mistake. That's for this week. I'm going Captain DeConing this week, Vice Captain Sherry. And you can either Vice Captain Sherry and Captain Gawn or Vice Captain Sherry and Captain DeConing or any one of those 3 ruckmen or any 2 of those 3 ruckmen kind of need to be in your VC and C calculations.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the other good options too would probably be like someone like Gawn and Basilenka, which you both don't have. So, no, I don't know. I'm actually worried when you said that those 2 players. Like, I had him in my trade plans to get rid of Gorney to go down to TDK to bank some cash. But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, if I get rid of Gorney at some point to make some cash, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get him back in. Same with Baz. Like, do you have a plan to get Baz and Gorney in, or are you going to antipod those 2 guys because they're huge?
They are huge antipods, and Max Holmes is also antipod. But look, I'm not trying to get all the players that everyone's already milked dry of all their great scores. Like, Baz is great; he's a superstar. Yep. I'm just backing Tom DeConing to match him. For 100k cheaper. Obviously went up 8k, but yeah. So that was my plan, and it also freed up some money for some upgrades this week. I'm not saying it's for everyone. I don't have a plan to really get Baz or Gawn in at any stage. I mean, I've got Marshall sitting there. So, look, with these guys, Gawn's like fucking 40. Baz is a bit of an injury prone. There's, always, he had a secret meeting with, the CEO at night time at his house. They have some kind of question marks over them. So, look, I just ran with the money. They both still have their buy. I'll consider it maybe after, when I complete. Look, I've got one more player before my team's complete. I've got Ashcroft to another premium, and then I'm pretty much done. Then it's all just luxuries.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. So no plan to bring those boys in.
To be fair, I was just stirring the pot. I was just trying to bait you into this conversation.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you got to make it more obvious. These are like actual, they seem to be really logical questions, though.
No, I just do it a different way to you and Matty. But Jack Steele's an interesting pod at 1.1%. That could be an all right guy. Like, you have a look at his recent scores.
Hey.
I know you're probably not a fan.
Oh, I don't. He's got some nice scores, but other than this game, he hasn't really cracked 25 touches, has he?
No, I suppose not, but I just think
Not all year.
he's got a good run-ish. Marvel-wise, anyway. I think.
Let's stop wasting time about talking about Jack Steele. Let's get to some real players. Connor Rosie's always there for a handy-dandy player. Had his buy mid-defense. Let's grab him. And there's also, I want to talk about Wanganeen Malira because this is a cheap. He's 507. He's much cheaper than some other players, and he's at a great price at average 106 0.2. I mean, you're not really getting this kind of value for price anywhere else. What do we think of Nas? His lowest score, it was this West Coast 63. He's going to take it out of his system this week, 74 break even. How we're liking Nas?
I love his run. Again, he's one of the 4 players I'm considering. So I reckon for the price, he's definitely there. Like, I could bank a lot of cash by grabbing Nas this week. He just looks like he's so unders just because that 60 score a couple of weeks ago, but he's averaging 106 for 507. Like, you're not going to get that very often at all. He's top of the line in his position as well. Like, he's top 6, no worries. So yeah, he's probably the bargain of the week for sure.
Now, bargain of the week. There are a couple of mid prices that are starting to break out a little bit due to positional changes. I want to talk about them. I want to skip all these duds. I'm going to go straight to the bargain bin for people who really want to. So, there's Newcomb is pretty cheap as well, but he's got his buy. Who'd you say, mate?
McKercher
indeed. Let's go all the way down to that dud McKercher. He went up 62K, man. That is disgusting. You would really love to have banked that 62K, but this is the pros and cons to McKercher. Okay, pros still got 25 of a break even. He's going up again. Cons is he's only had 1 game in the back line. He spent 100% time on ground as a defender when he was on the ground for the first time this year. And, he looked fantastic. He looked like Lockie Whitfield out there. Now, cons, it was against West Coast. As soon as Clarko decides he doesn't like that, he's back on the wing and you've got a dummy pick for 400K. However, if he keeps this role, you're probably getting 100-plus average out of him for the rest of the year, mate. What are your thoughts on that? DPP as well.
I think I'll see next week you, Jamie, and Matty all bring him in. So for me, I would avoid this because he's only done against the Richmond and West Coast. So I don't know. I think you kind of missed the boat on this. Like, you were meant to do it maybe last week, but then how you meant to know the role? I'd actually rather 50K cheaper for Mills off his buy than McKercher. But the DPP is very handy, and if the role sticks, old mate's getting to 550K and you're laughing, and he's actually not a bad, D6 or D7 worst case scenario along with M9 swing.
Yeah, mate. He's definitely one. Look, he got 1 game of data. He played as a defender for 1 game, even though he did good scoring against Richmond. That was a wing score. So let's disregard Richmond's score because, yeah, sure, he got that. That's not what. This is what he was playing in the back line with Caleb Daniel when he was the second doing the kick-ins. But yeah, so if you think he's going to keep that role, he'll be a fantastic pickup in a bargain bin. Another one in the bargain bin, a little bit more expensive. We have 2 games of data on Sam Doherty now. So what also makes this pick tempting is that he's got West Coast and North Melbourne. In the last 2 games, he's been kind of pretty much a defender. His defensive role, he's racked up a bunch of touches each game. So look at this, 30 touches from Doc and a goal. 21 kicks, 5 handballs, 13 marks, and, he looks like to have that roll back. He's 403. He's probably going to get DPP the next time it rolls around, but, now's the time to get him. His break-even is 13. There are 2 really cheap picks that roles have changed and they're starting to score really well, mate. What do you think of Doc?
You're probably not picking him up as M8. You're probably picking him up in your flex position if you're going to do it. And then he'll get DPP around 18, so he'll be a mid-defense. So you're probably a flex play for me, but you definitely don't want to finish him off even at D6, I don't think. The role is definitely there, don't get me wrong, but I'd probably rather Doherty at this price over McKercher, just because at least Doherty has the runs on the boards and the role has been there for the last 2 weeks. But again, it's definitely more of a flex play, but people finishing off their sides with M8 Doherty is going to be a little bit of a struggle, although I'm running Merritt at M8 by the looks of it.
Yeah, right. Well, these are the 2 specials we have. Now, keep in mind, we do have Callum Mills coming off the bye. So once you can't get him this week, but after he has the bye, look, these numbers are not impressive as, he got 107, yes, and he's got a 69, which was not that impressive. He's more injury prone. But he did have 85% time on ground, which is really encouraging against Richmond, man. So personally for me, I know you caught up Mills, but I'm leaning towards the other blokes over Mills at this stage based on, I know first game back 69 and, he's inflated score against Richmond. I mean, if that's a harder team, I don't know what he's scoring. And he's a bit of injury prone. So these are the three kind of mid prices that you have to play up with. I wouldn't be grabbing all of them, that's for sure. But I know there are some people that are trying to catch up and, these are some of the picks you can use to do it. I'm not going to ask your opinion because you already got Mills, but these are some things to think about.
Yep. There's even Ben Keys and Bergman in that same conversation.
Yes, I saw Ben Keys and I saw Bergman, but, mate, it would have been good to get them in a week early. But right at the moment now, I think these guys are ahead of them too. Now, I've got 2 trades left, SuperCoach, bro, and I've been trying to play with this in my mind and on the field. Tell me if you can help me. So I kind of want to get rid of Kako, right? So let's just say Kako, I get this Johnson that everyone's raving about, this stud.
Yep.
So then I can get rid of Ashcroft, right? And I have enough money for Wanganeen Lira, which would have been absolutely perfect. And that would have finished my team for now. And, still had about 7 trades left. But I can't get him into the back line. I can't get him into the midfield. So because that Kako is here and this guy's a midfield only, I have to have these 4 duds on the bench. So I can't either get Johnson or the Wayne.
So you got to get rid of Johnson and maybe bring in Calusi or whatever his name is, don't you?
I know I was talking about him earlier, but he's just so shit.
And then swing Sheasel to your mid. That's the only way you can do it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I think you're right, mate. And that's how I have to do it. But, geez, I really don't want this bloke wasting away in my forward line. So, let's just...
Who else is in your forward line anyway for cover, worst case? Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So
maybe you go early on a forward mid rookie that's debuting on Thursday, team sheets potentially, if you don't want a sub risk like him.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Anyone getting a call up this game that this late in the season that hasn't really played, is not going to be any less of a risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so true. It's difficult, but you'd probably rather Wang than what else did you have? 517k or something to play with, or 510.
Yeah, so let's get rid of the Wang. Let's get rid of Cloes.
Yeah.
We'll get in what's his face? This Zach Johnson. See what we can do. I can only bring in a forward, and I just fucking hate it. I mean, there is another option that we're not seeing here, and look, there's Matty's man, Matthew Kennedy. I don't want to spend any money on Pickett, Baker,
Kennedy.
Yeah, definitely don't.
Myers? What do you think of Myers? He's got a juicy run coming.
Hate it. Myers for 477. Hate it. Couldn't hate it more. I would even consider Curnow with the 2 easy matchups he's got, West Coast and North, but I am not trusting this big idiot. And I'm not bringing in Curnow. Again, last season I brought him in. He was absolute dud. So, look, it has to go without saying that I can't bring in any one of these players. There's nothing here for me. So, another option that we're not... Sorry, mate?
I said scroll down to your forward line so I can see the last few positions on there. Okay, you've already got Daniel. I was going to say Caleb Daniel, but you've already got him.
Yeah, Daniels would have been a good pick. Warner's been an absolute prick since I traded him last week or a week before. It's got me a 50 and an 88. Hopefully the Hornets back. But, yeah, this has to be a rookie. Ideally, I would get rid of Carroll instead of Kako. So if Kako's there, right, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And I can get maybe rid of Carroll for a player or that McCarthy or, But, look, that's not going to leave me enough money. So let's get this started. Pretend he's playing and he's a superstar and everyone wants to root him. Here we go. He's in. Now I only got 500k and I can't afford that. I can afford that Dub Stewart, which is still has his buy. It's not happening. Not a chance. Yeah. So this is the dilemma I'm stuck with this week. So can't get rid of Carroll now because that's not going to do anything. But I can do one trade and get Doherty or McKercher, like we've spoken about, and just have them in there for now, and then see how the wing is. Let's put McKercher in there for now, and I got a bit of a loop. So, that's an ugly midfield, but
I'd honestly, I'd rather Nass and Khaleesi and hope that if you do have an injury trade out that you just trade out that primo instead of worrying about forward cover. The issue is you've held on to guys that have had injuries like McRae and Horn Francis. So I'd probably rather the Khaleesi move. I don't know what you'd actually do. The Marshall flex kind of kills us as well. With that ruck flex, it's annoying. You can't really switch your team around. That's what I hate about flex at ruck.
Yeah, so you run the 3 rucks, you have that kind of risk. Marshall was okay, then started to fade. It's got English tonight, so hopefully it can bounce back a bit. But yeah, this is what we're left with, mate. With Ashcroft, if I had a bit more cash, I could go straight up. I could even, if I had money and it wasn't an issue, I'd get Luke Jackson in, or someone, or even Brayshaw would be fantastic. But
could you get money off like a Marshall down to a Naz, bank 47k, and do something with a few other trades?
A Marshall down to a Naz?
Yeah, something like that.
Because that won't free up as much money as a Kako down to a rookie, So that will free up over 100k. Now, Marshall to Naz would free up, 40k only. Marshall
to Stewart will bank you 100k.
He's also going to miss an extra game, Stuart,
yeah, no.
and probably a lot more games as well. So this is what I'm kind of dealing with, guys. I mean, maybe I do a mid-price. I hope they play well, make some money. Then I save an extra trade, instead, and then I don't get a dud like Khaleesi in, even though I kind of said he was in the top 5 rookies this week. So one trade's for sure. We'll go Rosie to Ned Long. Butters to Ned Long. And, I don't know what I'm doing with with that Ashcroft and Kakos. But I'll let you know on Twitter, guys, so make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow SuperCoach Pro as well. And get your coffee shouts in. And, look, I think the captains speak for itself, mate. Is there anything you needed to add on this week's captains or trades?
No, I think you've capped off pretty well. And as I said, my trades are either going to be Bont and Naz combination or Hewitt and Butters, and I'll have until Thursday to decide that. So that's the side overall. It took it all right. Like it's only 2 away from actually being completed. So we've got a few frauds in there, like most people. Unfortunately, we traded in Neil. Don't ask me why we did that 2 weeks ago. I think it's because I jumped on here and I decided let's do a shit trade. So I was listening to.
Hey, mate, I couldn't be further against you getting Shannon Neal. I was ropeable, mate. So don't blame the podcast here for you doing your shit trades. I encourage you to get a call, but it's been all right for you.
Yeah, I remember a couple of weeks ago I was trying to get rid of that stupid 20 score that Trainer gave me and Day Wicks gave me. So I had 350k to play with and needed a negative break even. So, and then he hurt his ankle, didn't he? So he's out of my side regardless. I want to hold Hewitt. If you look at that team, I could literally, know this sounds really stupid. When I get rid of Lindsay, Hewitt, and there's a third player, Neil, I can grab that combination of 2 primos and 1 rookie. Or I could actually hold Hewitt, hear me out here. I could get rid of Huswaite, Lindsay, and oh my God, I've gone blank again. Who's the last guy? Neil. Yeah, and I would hold Hewitt, and I could get Naz and Stewart, even though Stewart has a bye in a couple of weeks. But that would allow me to hold Hewitt. But I'm just going to go all out anyway and go Neil, Hewitt, and Lindsay for 2 primos and finish off the side.
Yeah, so you're thinking about either the Nas and Bont or is it Butters and Hewitt. Is that correct?
Yeah, who would you go?
Nas and Bont or Butters and Hewitt? Nas and Bont or Butters and Hewitt? Like, I want to give you a proper answer, so I need to think about this. So, I mean, Bont is the Bont, as Matty would say.
Yep.
Butters, though, is pretty good too. He could match the Bont. Now it's Nas versus Hewitt. Mate, I tell you what, when you make 2 trade options, you want to make sure you're losing as least as possible. Like, either option, you're going to be okay. And I think you got 2 really solid options there. But if I had to go down to it, I would probably say Butters and Hewitt because they're probably the best bang for buck. And Bont's break-even's 160. But me saying that, I bet you he gets 160 this week. So I'm changing it last minute. I'm saying Bont and Nas.
Bont and Nas. All right, I'll do the opposite. I'll go Hewitt and Butters.
Fuck you. But yeah, no, do that because if you drop rank anymore, imagine you have a real shit week, mate. You blow out to 500. I have a great week. I go up to 410. That'll be a sick potty.
Imagine what happens in like the end of the year. You 3 both overtake me. I'll never turn up next year at all on your channel as a feature.
That'd be an absolute scenes. But Matty's still stinky at rank 9,000, mate. So you'd have to be pretty fucking stupid and bring in Shannon Neals to keep going down that way.
You're not wrong. I had to hold fucking Roberts as well. Another redhead that disappoints me. How do you get sick all of a sudden? Then, anyway, I don't know. These players are pretty solid.
Bitch, I mean, can't you be sick on your fucking bye? I mean,
literally.
God, Roberts.
So, yeah, I wanted to get rid of him. He's a bit of a fake primo. But anyway, apart from that, the side's going okay. I'm just hoping for a top 100 finish or top 10 finish. I still think it's doable. I have 6 trades left when I finish my side this week.
Mate, you can still win this thing, okay? You know what? I would take back everything I said. I like Butters and Hewitt because Hewitt seems like the biggest pod, and you need pods going into the top 100. Everyone's got fucking Bont, and everyone's got, Nas is in 22%. I think hardly any of the top 1% have Hewitt, so they're the kind of moves you need to make.
I think you're right. Hewitt's 2.3% in the top 1%, and Butters is way less than Nas. I think Nas is 22% overall, and Bont is like about 29% overall. So if I'm to win it, they're the 2 guys to get me in there. But on the token to that as well, if they absolutely shit the bed and Nas goes nuts and Bont goes nuts, then I'm quickly outside that top 500 very quick. But maybe I just play the game because I'm in that chance to finish first. So I'm pretty sure I'm leaning towards at this stage anyway to go Butters and Bont because they're midfielders in the wet. They've got a lot of games in the winter. They should have a lot of good numbers. Bont has a better run for Marvel, I reckon, but I've already got Ed Richards, so it kind of cancels that out.
Yeah.
And he's a pod, and then Nas under the roof. I think he's more capped. Like he's maybe your 110 guy, whereas it's interesting because I think Hewitt back end and Butters back end could definitely match Bont anyway, regardless. I don't see Bont going a 130 or 135 from here on out, not with all the mouths to feed in the midfield for the doggies. So something I'll just think about over the next couple of days and then see how we go, mate. But yeah, again, thanks for having me on. I love going through your shit team and Matty's and all the rest of it. To see him back on there was great as well. So it was a bit of a funny chat. Hopefully we could actually do a segment where, all of you are in there because I just sat back and watched and I was laughing my head off. So it's good to see you having a bit of a yarn.
Nah, it's good, mate. We have those photos. Sorry, mate. I put a bit of a banner at the bottom of the screen. So I'm just having a bit of a giggle. But yeah, no, it's good. We speak to Matty all the time, so it's good to just put our phone call, what we pretty much do, just out there for you guys to see. But we do that every day. And as well, thanks for coming on and getting some nice logical statements and advice on this potty. And thank you for everyone to watching, mate. You got anything to say?
Nah, just give us a follow on my channel, SuperCoach Pro, and give me a follow on Twitter as well, SuperCoach Pro 91. So again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries, mate. And all the people here, if you've got any questions or trade questions, or we didn't mention your primo, just write it in the comment section. I'll get to all yours. I'll tell you if they're shit, and I'll tell you if they're good. And if I'm wrong, just bag me out next potty. I mean, what can you do? And look, let's make sure we're following SuperCoach Pro because if he does really good, we want to support him. And if he does really shit, we want to bag him. But make sure we're following him on all platforms, guys. All right. So we're going to be there with him every step with his Astro Space color changing dildo that he's got there. So, and that's it. I think let's wrap up the potty. I think we're meant to have a quick one, but it went for about an hour. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one, mate. See you, SuperCoach, bro.
Cheers. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
All right.